Hello all. Quick video I've been meaning to do for some time on these compression router bits from Banggood. They sent me these to review in May of 2022 and it's the end of November 2022 at the time of doing this video. So this is de facto a long-term review rather than the first impression type thing that I usually do for reviews. I didn't initially intend these to be a long-term review, but if you watch till the end I'll say a little bit about why it's taken me so long. As I said, these are compression router bits. These all have a 12.7mm shank. I got a bearing top and a bearing bottom version of these beauties. I think the cutter itself is a fairly odd size diameter at around 22.2mm. By bearing top, by the way, I mean the bearing is toward the router body, opposite for the bearing bottom of course. This third bit is a uniform 12.7mm shank and blade. Still a compression bit, but the longer blades, the shank end, also spiral in what would be a down cut. Here you go, this is what makes a proper bish bash bosh video. Focus all over the place. Hopefully though, you can make out the short cutter at the bearing end. It cuts the same direction, just angled so it effectively down cuts towards the material, compressing material from both edges of the workpiece toward the centre, hence compression bit. This allows these bits to leave behind super clean edges. Quite recent to woodworking this type of bits, really expensive too, at least in the beginning when companies like Whiteside started offering them. Now Whiteside are a very reputable company, made in the US, and you'll be looking at over $200 for the equivalent compression bits I have here from Banggood. What do these Banggood ones cost then? Well, as ever they vary, as do their stock levels. At the moment though, the bearing top is a little under £50, which would be around $60. The bearing bottom version, about the same, albeit with a wait for a 7th of December restock. And the longer spiral compression bit I have is currently unavailable from Banggood, but its smaller brother for a 1/4 inch collet is available for £34. The 1/2 inch version was also around £50 when I had it if I remember rightly. Certainly potential for a substantial saving over an established brand then. Of course it only means anything if they cut nicely and last well though. So do they? Yeah, they do as it happens. The 22mm diameter one can really hog out material before there's any hint of chatter. In this shot from a video where I made a footstool, I'm rounding a 90-degree corner into a 68mm exterior radius. I should say here that in these shots for the camera, I'm essentially doing them blind. The camera and tripod right in the way of where I'd be dipping my head to observe the cut, how much I'm taking off and all that. Don't really need to worry with these bits though, they're very forgiving and still give a lovely clean result. So that was cutting poplar, an easy cut by most standards. This is the same bit doing a 20mm radius in a piece of Iroko for a bench I built. The bits don't seem to mind what the wood. I've also cut a fair bit of elm, oak, mahogany and purple heart with them, like butter through all of them. This is the same Iroko flipped over, this time with the bearing bottom cutter, following the round the last bit just made. Super clean, almost like it polished the end grain, no breakout on the top or bottom edge. This is part of a form for a glue lamp, the bearing bottom bit flushing up to a piece of 18mm MDF in the centre section. I stopped it there so you could see how much it was hogging away. An easy 6 or 7mm, no burning or chattering. On the edges that matter though, it's worth pointing out that you'll want to do a couple of lighter passes, making the second your finishing pass to make sure to keep the edges clean. Otherwise you might risk a little bit of fur up on manufactured boards, like you can just see at the end of the cut there, or the odd bit of breakout on hardwoods. Take it a little easier than I am here though, and you'll have consistently beautiful edges. Here then is the 12.7mm spiral compression bit flushing up 2 layers of 18mm ply, so 36mm, and doing a pretty good job of it. It doesn't remove material anything like as fast as the other two, and I've tried it on a single sheet of MDF too. Much more a finishing bit this. It gives a superb edge on melamine as it happens, but I don't have any footage of that. Nonetheless, it is doing a grand job through these 2 MDF layers, removing the 2 to 3mm protrusion cleanly, just at a measured pace. Remember too here that I'm using these bits, in fact they've been my go-to templating bits for just over 6 months now, and they're still cutting beautifully. In case you're not familiar with my builds, everything I build has internal and external radii routed with templates, so they've been used a lot. And despite pushing the bit, that's a nice crisp edge. Cheaper though these bits from China are, the 3 I have here would still be 150 quid's worth or more depending on the offers. It's often overlooked, but you can really enhance the longevity of your router cutters and saw blades by cleaning them. I was sent a little package from Scott & Sargent after doing my planer thicknesser review. Had a pack of 10 replacement planer blades and this CMT 2050 formula blade cleaner in it. Nice. The spray is water-like in consistency and lifts off crud quite nicely. It will need to soak for a while for crud from milling or cutting more resinous woods like pine though, but it's as simple as spray on, toothbrush off, good as new. About 16 quid a bottle this, but as it's watery, very little gives good coverage. I've only used about a third of a bottle in a year. As I've mentioned in my vids before though, another good blade cleaner, especially for the stubborn stuff, is good old oven cleaner. Either way, keep them clean, keep them neat. I imagine some of you watch my vids. I also watch Hugh and Orr and have seen him look at these or similar bits from Banggood. He actually had one of the more expensive Whitesides to compare them to. For me though, these are the two main ones that have largely become retired by these Banggood bits. This is a 19mm diameter bearing top and bottom bit from Titman. Can't say enough good about Titman bits to be honest. Superb longevity, and they've been really helpful and swift when I've been after different size bearings to create offsets and whatnot. I've a few of theirs, but this bit in particular has done a lot of template work and is still super sharp. I just find I prefer the compression bits generally now though. This absolute monster of a bit was my first compression bit. Has just over 50mm depth of cut, so would template my 48mm chair pieces in one pass. It's so massive though that I could hear the electronic speed controllers in my Bosch GMF 1600 router continually busy trying on the one hand to manage the sheer momentum of the thing and then ramping up the power to keep it at the set speed. I mean, the router did it admirably, but I was convinced it wasn't doing the router much good long term. It's a very torquey router, but only 1600 watts. Maybe a 2000 watt plus router might handle it a bit better. Still, I've found I'm much happier doing two passes on the 48mm chair pieces with these new compression bits than one pass with this monster bit. Still a good bit, just a bit much. I got it from Rutland's if you're interested, by the way. In summary then, these Chinese compression bits are no joke. Still a price that's an investment for some I'm sure, but from my experience with them, a totally sound one. So before I go then, as mentioned at the start, a quick word on my doing reviews. This review's taken me a while as I took a bit of a hiatus, and to be honest, I was and still am struggling with whether I want to continue doing reviews or not, at least with stuff I get sent anyway. I think real world reviews do have a real value for the end user, you and I, but I don't know, just feels a bit like when you genuinely like something you've been sent and a video does well, often sending traffic and many thousands of pounds of sales to companies, it's the cheapest advertising going for them. I just got to feeling a bit mugged off once the novelty of being sent stuff had worn off. Yeah, I know, you'd love to be sent some free gear, but it's not free. You might not be compelled by them to say nice things, there's no script like in an actual advert, but there is an implicit transaction happening. You get sent some gear on the understanding you'll give it exposure on your platform, in other words. That I've become ill at ease with it these days isn't a slight on other YouTubers, by the way. It's how the grift works, and a great many are sincere. Nor have I any beef with the companies who've sent me anything to review. But for me, having looked at my numbers over the years, they, the outlets and manufacturers, are getting far, far more value from the transaction than I am. I think I'd rather concentrate on my own builds, designs and workshoppy type stuff, to be honest. Even if that negatively affects my channel, which it probably will, as the majority of my subs and views all seem to come from my review videos. I don't know. What do you reckon? Let me know below if you have any thoughts on it. Also feel free to ask about any of the bits shown in the vid. I'll leave all the relevant links in the description below if you want to take a look for yourself. A like and a sub would be greatly appreciated. And as always, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.